So let's look at something that's going on here. We have been able to correctly identify what an uptrend is. We are able to correctly identify what a downtrend is, but the missing link in the middle is how do we transition from an uptrend to a downtrend? All right, we can piece one, we can piece the other, but putting them together is something else. So let's go through it. In order for us to identify a reversal in the market, there's something that is demanded of the correction that gives us two clues of a trend reversal. Most people teach that there is only one clue of trend reversals, and that is, yes, when the correction finally does exceed the beginning of the previous impulse. But unfortunately, this is where most people teach and stop, that when there is a breach of the beginning of the previous impulse, that is a trend reversal. No, it is not. That is only one of two conditions. Okay. Now, we have to correctly identify that in every move that takes place in the formula, traditionally speaking, the impulse needs to be the longer move when it comes to length, not necessarily to do with time. So an impulse move can go 1,000 pips in 4 days. So 1,000 pips. A correction can go 200 pips down, but it takes 20 days to complete. So when we're talking about impulse, we're talking about the longer, the faster, the stronger move out of the two. Remember this. Now, when it comes to reversals that take place in the market, one condition has been fulfilled, and that is the break or the exceeding of the previous impulse, the beginning, that is. The second thing that you need to be able to identify is that when the market now begins to pull back, okay, it needs to be able to form a high in the market that is lower than the previous high. So you can establish that this is a high. So what type of high does the next high have to produce in order for you to say that this is a trend reversal? If this is a high and this is a low, what type of high are we looking for to validate that this is now a trend reversal? We are looking for, very good, a lower high. So that means that this market can push all the way up even to here, as so far as the high is lower than the previous high, it meets the two conditions of a trend reversal. Please wait to get not just one, but two conditions of a trend reversal, then your trend reversal is complete. So in saying all this now, this that is perceived to be a correction is actually now known as the new impulse. Because I said that the impulse is typically the longer move of the two. So if this was perceived to be a correction, but now that correction has exceeded the beginning of the previous impulse, it now turns into the new impulse. It's no longer a correction. And this second move that formed the lower high is now known as the new correction. Are we cool with that? So you have to have a new impulse and a new correction that is different to the old structures, impulse and correction. Once you get those two things, then your trade reversal is valid. Let's have a look at it from the other point of view. Going from a downtrend into an uptrend. You have an impulse, you have a correction. You have an impulse, you have a correction. You have an impulse, and then you have what is perceived to be a correction, but look at what we have over here. Previous impulse has been breached, the beginning that is. And now you are waiting for, what are we waiting for? So we have a low, we have a high, and what is this? What has this become? It's become a higher high. Very good. which means you're waiting for what exactly to make this trade reversal valid? What are you waiting for? Quick fingers, your new nickname. You're waiting for a higher low to take place in order to validate this trend reversal so that you can continue moving your way up. Are we cool with that? So all you're waiting for is a new impulse and a new correction that is different from the old structure. Now, when we're talking about structure, we're talking about when one piece meets another piece. So when we're speaking about old structure, we're referring to the downtrend. When we're speaking about new structure, we're referring now to the uptrend. Two structures have met, and there are changes in conditions to separate them from old structure and new structure. So let's have a look at the chart quickly before you get your homework. Who loves homework? I bet everybody here does. I mean, when it comes to your financial freedom, you want to be practicing these things a lot. So let's look at some of these things. We have a downtrend. You have one here. You can even call this one big impulse. Let's make things simple here. So you have an impulse that has taken place, and we're not counting the wick because we care about where the markets have closed. Now look and see this. You have a high. Now you have a low. And now what do we see over here? We see a break of the previous high. So now you can see, even just by a few pips, you can see that there is a higher high that has been formed in the market. Now what do you need to do to be able to validate your claim? Let the low be higher than the previous low, then you find another high like so. Okay? Clean cut example. They are everywhere in the market. If you are trend traders, which the majority of you identified as trend traders, I'm expecting to see at least 15 to 20 people finding uptrends, downtrends, and trend reversals, which is going to be the homework for this lesson. Okay? Let's see if we can find one more quick example. One more quick clean example. Okay, this one, I mean, forget the structure over here. Let's go to here, okay? So what we have is when the low was broken, it came back up to former high, and the highs are completely different levels. And then the downtrend has begun to start. The highs getting lower, the lows are also getting lower. So what is your task for tonight going into tomorrow, where tomorrow we get to identify strategies that we have tailored for range trading and trend trading? Assignment done. Identify 5 uptrends. Identify 5 downtrends. Mark the highs and lows. Then, just want you to mark 3 trend reversals. 5 uptrends, 5 downtrends. Mark the highs and lows of your trends, and then mark up 3 trend reversals. This is what is required of you this very evening. Then tomorrow we'll continue into strategies. How we can maximize our trading using range trading strategies and trend trading strategies. Are we good with that? Drop a Y or a yes for me. When will this lesson be up? God willing, Monday morning. Hope maybe even tonight. Who knows? It depends on how fast the internet loads. But here Where is, okay, assignment, putting it into the Telegram group. 5 uptrends, 5 downtrends, mark the highs and lows, 3 trend reversals. Please do that for me, and then we continue into strategies tomorrow. Now I'm going to add, there are 35 people in this room. If I don't get a minimum of 30 people participating in this assignment, class tomorrow will be canceled. Good luck. Have a nice night. I'll see you back on Telegram.